But that dumpster is technically in Suffolk County. So technically, I was born there. The Bruins just pulled off the second miracle on ice, but now David Pastrnak and a much skinnier Charlie McAvoy are coming back into the fray. It's the Garden Level Pod.
This is hockey right here.
Bruins! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
What's up, Garden Level Pod? Dan Conlon, Cam Stewart, Rogue Media Sports Network, of course. Finding us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the place where you get podcasts, Dan, and also on TikTok so that we can reach the kids as well. Garden Level Podcast, putting out stuff just all the damn time. Home of the third place in the Atlantic Division, but getting healthier Boston Bruins. It just rolls right off the tongue. Dan, it's 3 out of 4. For the Bruins without David Pastrnak, without Charlie McAvoy. Can we categorize this as kind of miraculous so far?
Miracle on Ice. Boston
it feels
edition.
like it. It feels
Boston
like
edition.
it. As if the first one wasn't the Boston edition. Yeah.
That was the upstate New York edition, but we'll take what we can get. Honestly, I am surprised how well we've played without them, but they have been getting contributions from literally everyone, Swayman had his worst game of the year last week, probably the day after we told him he should go for Vezina and be the starting goalie for Team USA. And then we also didn't have some nice words to say about Korpisalo. And he probably listens to the pod because he came back and he had 37 saves and ruined Jim Montgomery's return. So Korpisalo stole a game for us. Swayman's been playing pretty good recently besides that last one. And then we're getting contributions from literally everyone, the third, the fourth line. Steves is on the first line now, making us forget about Pastrnak a little bit. So second line's back.
Kevin
Pastrnak? Yeah.
You're jogging the memory now. Yeah.
But yeah, contributions from everyone. It's been a miracle, but I'm not sure how long that could last. But luckily we don't have to wait, have to hope for that lasts longer because apparently they're coming back.
That's the thing, man. You've been treading water here. And that's kind of all you can ask for when those guys are out. Look at the Devils. Look at they lost 5 in a row with Jack Hughes out. Like, they're nothing without him. And that's really kind of what the Bruins should be without Kevin. But no Pastrnak, no McAvoy. I don't want to say no problem because these have been absolute dogfights. But you've won the last 2 anyway with outscoring opponents, 9-3? It's tough to get much better than that. And I'll have to go back and check. Korpisalo might be subscribed to the podcast.
He might be like a burner or something.
Yeah, I think he's got to be. And I think the fix for that, Dan, is we're going to have to just say that both of them suck.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Korpisalo was great afterwards. And Swayman did have a pretty great game the second game after we said he should be a Vezina finalist. But earlier this year, we were kind of talking about how good the Bruins were without Swayman being very good, and then he went on a tear. So I think from now on, the official stance of the Garden Level Podcast is that both goalies suck. In fact, I might go so far as saying every Bruins goalie sucks. That should be the name of the episode.
Except for the ones that play for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just even better, dude. Like, even better than when we were raving about him last week. I think if we made the title of this, every Bruins goalie sucks, that could get the job done. That'll get some people watching, that's for sure. And it will get around that locker room, I think is what we have learned from that. But I'm telling you, miraculous, man. I think they're 3-2 without either of them in the lineup, without Pastrnak or McAvoy. And this year we were saying, like, those guys are the team. They are the team. Obviously, and to take it a step further, like, Geekie has been great with Pastrnak out, which I think shocked us all if you had said that before the season. He's got like 9 points in 8 games or whatever. But that it's just been all the way around, like you said. Like, Steves has filled right in, man. That's another possible Boston-Toronto steal right there. In fact, Steve's doing it better than even some of the alleged greatest goal scorers in the league, more goals per game this season than Austin Matthews, but more on that later. Steve's been doing it. That second line, that Zaka, Middlestat, Arvidsson line, could you make an argument that that's the Bruins' best line? Like both ends?
Statistically, it could be. What'd you say they're outscoring opponents by?
Yeah, so good stat here. I think it's Connor Ryan had it. And it's when they're playing together, those three, Arvidsson, Zaka, Middlestat, in 166 minutes of 5-on-5 ice time together. So that's almost 3 full games. They're outscoring opponents 11-6.
Good stat.
I mean, that's pretty damn good, dude. Like that, to be a +5 over that amount of time in 5-on-5, where the Bruins really sucked last year, and you thought they were really going to suck this year. Two of those guys don't really play defense for the most part. Zaka's obviously having an awesome year, but you're getting contributions from Middlestat and Arvidsson after really slow starts. That is the one that I think if everyone's healthy, you're less likely to break that lineup than you are the third line with Fraser Minton, which has been mainly intact most of the year.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's a good problem to have when Pasta's back. It's if you have 3 or 4 good lines that you don't want to break up, that's a really good problem to have. And obviously, I don't think they're going to hold out Pastrnak in the lineup. I'm not sure what you think, but I think when he's healthy, they'll put him back in the lineup.
I think it's worth a think. I think it's worth thinking about it.
Maybe send him to Providence.
Yeah, taking Steve's out that's too much to ask right now, I think.
Yeah, maybe so send Pasta to Providence for a few games.
Yeah, good call.
Put him with Lysell, Patra. That's how we find out if they're NHL players.
That's a good point. Yeah, they don't do it like baseball. They don't do rehab assignments. They should Pastrnak with those guys so that they're not playing with Mark Kastelik, but then we actually find out if they can play.
Let's send Pasta and Zaka down to Providence to play with Patra and Lysell to see if they're NHL players.
That's good. Especially, what do you got? Like next week, a week and a half, you got Vancouver and Calgary. Just if you're gonna do it, now's the time. Now's the time to do it.
And one thing you mentioned, Geekie has been playing well without Pasta out. I think a lot of people were, saying he was a Pasta merchant. He only played well with Pasta on his line. He's like the next Jake DeBrusk. Only scores points when he's on the first line. Put him on the third line, and he requests a trade, but. I think Geekie's been playing very well without Pasta. It helps with his chances to make possibly Team Canada. And I think in the past week or so, I know Bruins fans were very vocal about how well Geekie's been playing this year. And now he's starting to get that national recognition. He's going on Spitting Chicklets. He got that interview in there. Got to be a big name to go on that show. And NHL accounts tweeting about him. So as a Bruins fan, it's nice to see Geekie gain that national recognition now. Is he going to make Team Canada? Who knows? It's a question mark.
We don't
want to encourage them. Hopefully not. As if you're a USA fan, hopefully you don't see Geekie. You'd rather see maybe Tom Wilson just hitting people. But Geekie scoring on Swayman in the Olympics would do me personal harm. I don't know about you.
That would be brutal, man. Yeah, that would really suck, man. Like Canada, lovely country. I know we have some listeners from Canada. But 2 weeks a year, roughly every 4 years, I cannot. Like I despise it. And like I don't want them to know. Like I don't want the Canadians to hear this. I don't want Don Sweeney to hear this and put more Geekie on Team Canada. Put in a good word. But like, how do you not? Like I know he's not like a driving play kind of guy necessarily, but you can just stick him wherever and he's gonna score. Like just to put a guy on your fourth line who can score from anywhere in the offensive zone, like why would you not do that? I know there's been a lot of debate about like the kids, right? Bedard and Celebrini, do they make the team? Like to me, Morgan Geekie should be in over them because of A, what he's done this season, and B, that kind of skill set of like, he's just a goal scorer. Dude's going to put the puck in the net. And he might be the opposite of a pasta merchant. Like he might actually be the opposite of that. He might be taking carbs out of his life because in 5 games, it's 5 games without Pastrnak. he's got 9 points, 5 goals, and 4 assists. That
he's got
that's
some assists.
crazy, Dan. Like
He's got some apples.
it's just fucking nuts the run this kid has been on for a year now. And you're right, they are starting to talk about him. He's starting to get on the NHL account. He was on Spit and Chicklets, but like it's almost like there should be more made out of this right now. Like if you're doing a Hart Trophy right now at this point in the season, Morgan Geekie has to be in that conversation. He has to be near the top, Dan. Like especially if we're talking value. Like most valuable player. That's why I thought Pastrnak should have been in like the top 3 last year, because without him, that team was literally the worst in the league. But like Morgan Geekie is keeping them in a playoff spot right now. He just can't stop scoring. He's going to score fucking 50 goals.
Maybe 60.
Maybe 60. Who says
I think he's on pace
60?
for 60. I think he's on pace.
Yeah, that's right. We're about a third, a little over a third of the way, right?
Yeah.
And he's got 22.
Yep.
Is that right? Like,
yep.
I mean, it's actually baffling. Like, he's a cult hero now, but I still don't even think he's being talked about enough.
I think people are just waiting for him to fall off, as you know, maybe some Bruins fans were doing too. Like last year, they thought maybe last year was a fluke,
yeah.
And then this year started off hot, and it's like, all right, when's he gonna cool off? You know, is he only gonna be, you know, a 40-goal scorer, 30-goal scorer? But you know, his shooting percentage is almost like a 3-point percentage in the NBA. It's like kind of crazy. I think people are just waiting for that to drop, and that's why they're not giving enough credit. And I guess we just have to he has to keep proving people wrong and doing his game, and we'll just keep enjoying and watching that.
Shooting percentage is 27.5%, by the way. Like at what, like that is a fluky number in a way, but he did shoot 22% last year. Like at what point do you say this guy is just fucking lethal? Like he's just a lethal scorer. What point do we start saying that? That's a 107 game sample size from the beginning of last year, and he's got 55 goals. And remember, the first half of last season stunk, and his shooting percentages were 22 and 27.5.
Yeah, he got benched early last year. He's come a long way.
Yeah, I think he had like it was 2 goals in his first like 20 games or something. And we're all thinking like, okay, the year before was his career year. Just like Charlie Coyle
goals.
And Trent Frederick and, you know, all these other guys who had career years. Yeah, it was 17 and 39 points over 76 games. Like for a guy who was unprotected in expansion draft and like released by an expansion team, like that's probably as good as you get. He's smashing it, dude. I'm running out of things to say about Morgan Geekie. And you still can't buy his jersey in the pro shop. That
contract too. Like I think Pasta's contract was the best on the team. Now it's that I think that's the new best contract on the team.
Don Sweeney winning, bro. The best thing, maybe the best thing that ever happened to this Bruins franchise was us getting on a microphone and talking shit. Like, you know, talking about how bad Swayman was last year. About how bad Korpisalo sucked, about how Morgan Geekie's probably a fraud. Literally the first episode when we did those projections, I said Elias Lindholm 75 points. And one of the reasons why was like, you're not going to get the same production out of Morgan Geekie, but you could still unleash something on that first line. And fucking Morgan Geekie might be the MVP of the league. Like this is, and like this whole podcast was born out of the idea that we hate Don Sweeney and we're trying to survive Don Sweeney. And he's just become friggin' Theo Epstein out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden this works. Morgan Geekie works. Swayman, bargain. Absolute bargain. Tanner Jeannot still kind of sucks, but you don't even recognize him because Trent Frederick's even worse. You know what I mean? Like you just hear that from Canada. And Alex Steves, oh yeah, he's got more points per game than friggin' Austin Matthews does. Like it's just everything is coming up done. Do we need to plan an apology episode for Don Sweeney before we put our guest on here? Dan, do we need to start planning an episode to apologize to old Sweens?
I mean, he's been texting us every day about it, so
he's still upset.
It's getting kind of annoying.
Yeah, and he's sending us these Marcussi tweets of like all these things we got wrong about him. You know,
Maybe let's wait till the trade deadline. Let's see how the deadline goes. Let's give them a full year of doing things the right way.
This is almost too much power, by the way. Of like, we talked about it last week. This trade deadline could be so funky for the Bruins. It's obviously a long way off, but like, would it surprise anybody if they're out of a playoff spot? Not really. And then Don's playing with house money there. Then Don's got a bunch of guys who at least have half a season of, like we're talking Arvidsson and Middlestat, like at least like half a season where they've looked pretty good in the NHL, in a tough division. And he could just, and he's got prospects, man. He can stockpile here. So we'll get in the early stages of planning an apology episode for Don Sweeney. If Morgan Geekie scores 50, I mean, we might need to build a cake, as Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite would say. We're ready to build a cake for Don Sweeney and send it to the Warrior Ice Arena.
Let's do it. Daniel's Bakery down the road in Brighton. Makes good cakes.
You already know.
Two other underrated stats I want to throw out there.
Yeah.
Mason Lowry, +3 this year. Also, Elias
Stop talking about Mason Lowry when things start going well. I mean, that was another guy we dumped on. Everyone was. I mean, how could you not? But I'm a Mason Lowry guy, and it's paying off for me right now.
And Elias Lindholm is almost a point-per-game player right now. I think he isn't going to get talked about too much, but I know that contract gets a lot of hate, and, respectfully so. It has a lot of term and money on it, but he's kind of putting together. I know he was injured for a little bit, but I think he's around like 20 games played or 25 games played and has around 20 points as well. So just very underrated. Two things I don't really hear too much about that I just want to throw out there.
Thank you for doing that. And I'm gonna go out there and say it. If Elias Lindholm's a point-a-game player, I'm okay with the contract.
And what he does defensively, oh yeah.
So would that make him like what? That would make him a 70-point guy. Is that the number I gave? 70 or 75? That would make him a 70-point guy. But yeah, if he's doing anything like that, I'm okay with that. We've got the notes somewhere. We should revisit that. Maybe like holiday episode or something. Anyway, how about this for a first? We're talking about the first episode. How about this for a first in Garden level history? Dan, it's been you and I. Just two shitheads back and forth. Some delay for months now. And instead we thought, let's bring another psycho. Let's bring another sicko into this fucked up world of the Garden Level podcast. And that sicko today is our first guest ever. Please welcome onto the show from Black and Gold Productions, the Black and Gold podcast, Jack Studley. Jack,
what's going on,
how's
guys?
it going, man?
It's great. How are you guys? I'm honored to be the first guest. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
I know. I was going to say congratulations.
Yeah, this is an honor.
Did you have a speech prepared? We didn't tell you.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't realize that I was the first guest. I'm honored.
Wow. I could feel the honor. Through the laptop right now. But Jack obviously comes to us from Black and Gold Productions, which is something that Dan and I both follow, and the Black and Gold podcast, covering the Bruins. So we're looking for some different perspectives. As you can tell, Jack, like there's a lot of just Dan's my yes man. Like truly, he's my right hand henchman. Any stat I'm looking to shit on someone for, Dan goes and finds. But Jack, we're really excited to have you on. And one of the things we really wanted to kind of get down to the studs with you, just waiting on that, is prospects. So obviously, Jack, one of the big things you guys cover over at Black and Gold Productions is prospects. And for the first time in a while, we can put an S on the end of that word. The Bruins have prospects who are actually doing stuff mainly at the college hockey level. We're seeing Dean Letourneau break through Hockey East Player of the Week. Will Zellers, who was not the throw-in in the Charlie Coyle trade. He was the guy. Casey Middlestat was the throw-in. And Will Zellers is now tearing it up, going for the Cy Young in college hockey, and also now going to the U.S. national team, at least for the camp, for the World Juniors. So let me start with this. Who has been the most impressive to you? Like, who has stuck out the most in terms of Bruins prospects, college, development team, Providence, or otherwise?
Yeah. My first is Dean Letourneau. I think he's done a complete 180 on his game from last year. There was a lot of talk about him. First round pick, you go to BC. All eyes are on you. And he didn't have a great season last year. But this year, it looks completely different. He's turned a corner. He's gotten back into his game. You can tell with all the offseason work he put on that he was ready for the challenge this season. And he's going to give the Bruins management a tough decision to make come the end of this BC season, whether you pull him up or you let him stay back at college for another year. I think he got snubbed from the Canada team. It didn't even look like they gave him a look. So I guess more for us to down here, I think BC's got a winter game. So we'll take it. We'll take it. They leave him off. That's more juice for Dean. He's just going to be more fired up. And another one I want to mention is Vasek Blanar. I love this kid. He's over in Sweden right now. He's from the Czech Republic. And when the Bruins drafted him, no one knew who he was. So it was one of those. And I was on stream for BNG doing the draft and with my two co-hosts, Eamon and Sam. We were all baffled when they made that pick. We didn't know who he was, where he was coming from. His name was wrong. And
dude,
then
he's like a ghost, man. He's
like
a ghost. Nobody knew his name or who he played for. He had no hockey database page because nobody knew his friggin' name. And then like Dev Camp, he was great. And now we're seeing it again.
Yeah, and he's kept it going. I like that he's getting senior league minutes over in Sweden. Not many, but he's still getting some minutes over there. And he's coming to UMass next year, so he'll be in New England Hockey East. We know how that bodes for the Bruins. They love their Hockey East players. So I think he's another guy that's trending in the right direction.
You talk about how tides have turned on that trade, the Ullmark for the first round pick trade a year ago. The way last season went with Swayman playing that bad and how bad of a season Letourneau had in BC, people were coming for Sweeney's head based on how that season went after the trade. Fast forward to now. Were you a fan of the trade at the time, or were you a maybe possibly trade Swayman and keep Ullmark guy, or what were your thoughts around that time?
I wanted them both, but I knew it wasn't going to work. So Ullmark is the guy to get rid of there. I kind of thought that when they brought him in, like the fourth year on his contract was so that we could get rid of him down the line and we don't lose him for nothing when Swayman's ready. So I'm glad that worked out. And I love Swayman. He's been unbelievable, especially this season. But at the time of the trade, I remember throwing everything in sight. I was one of the guys that wanted Sweeney's head.
Maybe he could fit in here.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted the goalie hugs to continue.
I know. But I'll take and even the return with Letourneau. I obviously he wasn't going to be like a Ryan Leonard draft pick where they take him and he's 1 year away from the league. We knew that there was going to be time with it, but man, that initially that trade was brutal because it also helps that we didn't have Kastelik last year for a lot of it. So what was the return really last year? It's bloomed into something special this year with Kastelik's been great. And Letourneau's turned it up. And I heard you guys just talking about Korpisalo. I'm in the same boat where he's not that good. He's serviceable at times, but he's just, it was a throw in part of that deal. Like if we're making this trade, you guys are taking on Korpisalo and something we're going to have to live with for the next couple of years. But hopefully down the line with a guy like Letourneau, we look back and we're like, that Ullmark trade was a pretty good one.
Yeah, dude. Because like if Dean Letourneau was from New England, that would have literally all the Don Sweeney hallmarks, right? Like bad asset management, right before you're in a contract negotiation you knew was coming, right? You knew exactly that was coming. You pull it off during Game 7 of the Cup final. Classic news dump. So infuriating. And then you're basically rushing it so that you can get that pick. And this pick is a huge reach. And he's a big guy and a center. And he's playing at BC. And the guy you're taking on as a throw-in has the worst cap hit of any backup goalie in the league. Like, it's all Don Sweeney, man. Except Stud. Can I call you that? We're talking a year and a half later of how much Don Sweeney has improved all of this. And I want to look at Letourneau even more because you talk about how that could be a guy that we could see sooner rather than later. Like we know the body is there, right? At 6'7". Like he's huge. He's not going to be a runt on NHL ice. That's not the only thing you need to have. But he's not a guy who's just barreling dudes and getting tap-ins. Like he's got a shot, man. Like he's rocketing past goalies. He's scoring from everywhere in the offensive zone. Do you think there's a real shot that Dean Letourneau's on the big club next year?
Next year, I'd love to see him stay at BC, and then it's kind of his show. But I do think that
100%.
there, with the way he's been playing and he found his game, and he's 19, so it matters when he turns 20 if the Bruins want to pull him up to even like Providence. I think that
Yeah.
could be a good stepping stone for a guy like Letourneau. Step up from BC, but not exactly the NHL yet, but he's still getting those quality minutes and reps in. So I hope, I mean, if he keeps this up, I think he's forcing the Bruins to act on him, where they make that decision, bring him up or leave him back down. But I would love to, if he keeps this up, he might end up in a black and gold sweater at some point down March, April. I would love to see it.
What about this Hagens guy? What do you think the best path forward for him would be? Obviously, he's having another good season at BC. Do you think, how should they handle this situation? If possibly, say they're still in the playoff hunt, could you see him getting called up late in this season, or you think you just let him, have a good camp and call him up coming into next year on the team?
Yeah, I would love to. He's awesome. Left him out. Shouldn't have. He's been so much fun to watch. But I hope that he's on a Bruins sweater come the end of the BC season, whether that's in March or April. I don't know how, and I wonder what you guys feel. I don't know what the rest of the outlook looks like, because there's a lot of things that need to go into the Bruins being competitive and like a playoff team. We've seen it all happen now. So, but if they're in, I think Arvidsson. If they're in the playoffs, I think Arvidsson sticks around.
Yeah,
which could be that spot where Hagens goes to start. I wouldn't hate seeing him on one of those wings because we have so many centers. But if the second we're out of the playoffs, I think you have to, especially if the Bruins are gonna look at the deadline as a time to move guys like an Arvidsson or a Middlestat, Zaka. They've been in trade rumors all year, and I don't expect that to end. So creating a space for Hagens is probably the first step for the Bees, but again, he could be a guy that's ready to make the jump quicker than we expect.
Yeah, creating space for him is important, but also setting him up for success too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put him on the first line with Pasta and move Lindholm down? Or I don't want to call him up and he's playing with Asimont and Marat.
I'd like him to play instead of Asimont if we could. It'd be great.
Maybe.
But yeah, I see what you mean. Like, and Dan, like, to your point, they've obviously put so much in Fraser Minton being their third line center, and that being the matchup line, and this kid being, high hockey IQ, good defensive game. And it sounds like, Hagens' defensive game, 3-zone games got better, but that's a heck of a kind of situation to throw him into, maybe even more so than the first line center. And Minton's 21 years old. So Jack, do you see him coming in? Like, if he does come in this year, let's play it out. Do you think it is more likely that you just stick him on a wing? You don't, I say stick him, he's going to play, but not have to worry as much about the defensive responsibility in the faceoffs, because he struggled with faceoffs.
Yep. Yeah, that's something I'd love to see him on that left side. He's been playing there for BC this year as well, so it's definitely something that he's capable of doing. And that's, again, less, like you were just saying, less responsibility for him. He doesn't have to be the guy responsible for playing the 200-foot game and creating all these plays if it's his first 5-6 games in the NHL. Let him adapt. Let him get used to the speed of the game. And then after an offseason, then you look at him at the center spot.
What about Zellers?
Oh, man, he's so much fun to watch.
Kid can put the puck in the net.
He's got a lethal shot. I'm glad the USA called him, because that was I thought that was a big mistake that they let him sit. But so let's see how this camp goes.
Do you miss Charlie Coyle right now, or are you happy with Zellers?
I'm taking Zellers.
That's tough, man. Dan did that on purpose. He knows I'm a South Shore guy. He knows. Well, allegedly I was born in Weymouth, but the start of this episode, that could be debated. Big Charlie Coyle fan, but it was time. It was time.
Yeah.
I'm just stunned. Like, to me, the Zellers rise is just as surprising as Dean Letourneau's, because you looked at him and you're like, that's what Dean Letourneau should have been doing. He should have been in the USHL last year, bodying dude, scoring a bunch of goals. Like, Zellers was what? It was 44 goals and I think 25 assists. I had 27. I get 71 points. So he's a Cy Young guy. He is a Morgan Geekie type in that respect, right?
Yeah.
And he goes in North Dakota, year one, as a 19-year-old, so 1 year off from where you'd normally be coming in, and he's just dominating. 10 goals, 5 assists, scores a beauty the other night. Like, it was all kinds of concern about his creativity, his speed, his defensive game. But if he keeps scoring like this, Jack, like, they're going to find a spot for him, and it's not going to be a 4-year project.
No, completely agree. He's blew my expectations out of the water. I thought this was going to be a slower year, jump from the USHL to college, but he's made that transition look so easy. He's got like I just said, he's got a dangerous shot. So that helps at any point. But yeah, he's just, every time I see one of his goals, it feels like a highlight reel goal. I think he's trending in the right direction. And this Bruins team, again, like you guys mentioned earlier, they had no prospects. It was a depleted pool, and now it looks like we can just keep talking about these guys that they have down in the pipeline. And Zellers, that trade, I know you like Coyle. I have roots in the South Shore too. I know a bunch of all my friends live down there, but I think it was the right move, and to bring in a guy like Zellers, who Colorado would have just overlooked him. So why not bring him to a spot where he's going to have a chance to flourish and to shine?
And that becomes like interesting to look at too, because like he was really their only prospect in Colorado. Like, I don't know when he was going to get a run really anyway, because they're loaded. But like they were just like, fine, you got to take Middlestat. You got to take Middlestat. We'll give up our only prospect, and bam, here it is. And he's doing it for the Bruins. But sorry, Dan, I stepped on you.
You're good. Yeah, so this is an exciting time for American Bruins fans. Obviously, the Olympics coming up. You have McAvoy and Swayman hopefully leading that team. Saw a glimpse of that last year with the Four Nations. And now with World Juniors coming up, you have Zellers, who just got put on the team, I think, yesterday. And you have Hagens, who's been on the team. He might be the first-line center. Do you think the U.S. is going to go for that three-peat? Or what's your expectations? I know Canada, they always say Canada has a good team. And I've heard some Canadians say they didn't pick the best team that they thought they could have this year. But do you think the U.S. is going for a three-peat this year, or do you think they might have some competition?
I think they have some competition this year. It's going to be a tough one. I know that Team Czechia is pretty good too, and the Blanar kid is on Team Czechia, so that's going to be a fun game to watch. But I think they have some competition this year. It doesn't seem like it's a runaway for the United States. I think the problem might be more goaltending than these other countries. I know Canada, they left off the Blues prospect Carbonneau, but they're still a pretty good team. They're pretty stacked all across the board, even in net. So I think there's going to be some tough. It's going to be a tough run for the U.S. this year. I think they can do it, just because why wouldn't they? They're the United States, but it's going to be a tough run. I really love that they added Zellers to the roster, because they need a guy like that, especially against this Canadian team.
Can't have enough goal scorers.
Nope. Exactly.
It's usually pretty good. Typically, the team that scores more goals does win.
Exactly.
Typically, international rules, that shit's murky. But by the way, 9 returning guys to the U.S. From last year's team that won gold. And of course, they won gold the year before as well. And this one's going to be played in the States, which I'm excited about.
Oh, nice.
Excited about. It's like $1,000 to get in the door, Dan, if you're interested. You also got to get to Minneapolis, St. Paul at New Year's time, just in case you're interested.
I love Minnesota in January.
Yep. It's beautiful. Beautiful. The Mighty Ducks inspired me. Fargo, all these things that just make me want to go out there. Jack, speaking of international hockey, we've been waiting for this, not just me. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Best on best Olympic hockey back, except for the fact that the corrupt Olympic Committee might have screwed this entire thing up. The new report is that the ice surface, confirmed, is going to be smaller than the NHL rinks. I want to get your take on that. I want to get your take on, are we getting close to a point where there's just enough being messed up here that Gary Bettman and the NHLPA say, we're not going?
I surely hope it doesn't get to that point, but every report makes it seem like it's getting closer and closer. Like the one that I saw yesterday was that the NHL found out last week about the rink dimensions. So like a lack of communication from both sides there.
And the Olympic Committee's just like, it's smaller.
It's a little smaller. It's all right. Yeah.
Nobody's going to get hurt. What are you freaking out about? I mean, without getting too stereotypical, it does kind of sound like a Sopranos thing. I mean, it's taking place in Italy. They're like, what do you mean? All right. So what? It's still ice, That's
exactly.
What it sounds like. Yeah.
A little wider, a little shorter. It's ice.
This does
But
make a big difference, though.
It
Like,
does.
right? Would you
And
agree, like, in terms of roster assembling and all that?
yeah, it does. And I think it might favor the US and Canada where they're NHL heavy, less of an like they don't have to adapt to the new rink size if it's just a little bit wider and a little shorter. But yeah, I mean, even the report says that I saw a report last night that the arena is going to open on February 2nd and the first women's game is February 5th. So it's like we're really cutting it close with the rink here. And what drives me crazy the most is that there was no backup plan. Like there isn't rinks in Italy and in Switzerland, a couple hours away, that are ready to go. Like we have these rinks that have hosted international events before, ready to go, and they're still dead set on this new building in Milan.
Is this the first rink built in Italy ever? Like, I feel like it's kind of like put out to be like
Turin had one.
Yeah, Turin
I don't know
had
how.
one,
That's not that far. I mean, can we make that happen?
I know. And then I was looking it up the other day. They have another one in like Bolzano, Italy, like up north. It's about 3 hours away from Milan. Go.
Damn,
like I don't know what the holdup is. Why we need this whole new rink. You have existing rinks. Use them.
Dude, this is gonna be Firefest, man. Is being tested 3 days before the first game. Like that's just to make sure the building can hold that many people. But then you've got to make sure like the toilets flush and like that you can cook stuff there and like have facilities. That is going to be a mess. Fire.
It's going to look like the Hingham Pilgrim rink.
That's a good South Shore deep cut there. Thank you. Thank you, Jack. Thank you for the Coyle family that has somehow not turned it off already.
I mean, do you think there's actually a shot? I don't think the NHL players would. I think the players are going regardless of what the league says.
Yeah,
like the Four Nations was just the appetizer. They got a taste of it. And I think the players will play anywhere. I think they play on the Chestnut Hill Reservoir. They would do anything to go against Canada again. I mean, we saw a preview of that commercial with McAvoy. I think that came out yesterday with John Hamm. But I don't think there's any way these players back out of this. It's just up to the league. I think the league said it's up to the players, but who really knows? I feel like Bettman would lie about that. But I just don't think the players would allow them not playing in this.
Yeah,
they want to go.
Happen. They really want to go. Yeah, there's no shot that if it's up to them, they're not going. I do think that like my gut's telling me that we're gonna get Olympic hockey with NHL players in it, just because what are they gonna do if they don't? Like, there's no schedule. There's 3 weeks off.
I think Ryan Donato, does he still go back to Olympic team? Remember Ryan Donato? Was that the 22 or 18 when he was killing in Korea or?
It must be 18. Right. Yeah.
When it was just college and
Brian Giunta.
Brian Giunta.
And then Giunta propels it into a Bruins career. Who could forget?
Who was the goalie?
Bruins legend.
Oh, Giunta. I didn't watch like any of that, man. I was
was
so pissed there was no NHL guys.
Complete drop off without the NHL guys.
It went from Oshie to Donato.
Yep. Love Donato.
Hey, one of those guys scored 30 goals last year, and it's not TJ Oshie. All right, I'm just putting that out there for whoever will listen. Jack Studley, Black and Gold Productions, Black and Gold Podcast. Want to get some of your Bruins thoughts if we could, not just the prospects, not just the USA. I'll tell you, outside of Morgan Geekie, maybe the Bruin I'm most impressed with this year, and this is such a cop-out answer, is Marco Sturm. Like, I was pretty skeptical of this. Like, oh, really? Entry-level job. You couldn't get an NHL head coach. You waited till the very end, a day before Pete DeBoer's fired, and you hire Marco Sturm because he's cheap and doesn't have any assistants to bring with him. He has been as advertised, and he's not taking any shit, and I think it's working for the Bruins. But structurally, do you think this is the exact hire they needed to make?
Yeah, I think it is. My favorite part was that they were looking for an outside voice and ended up bringing in a former Bruin.
Of course.
So
just they could play the Winter Classic stuff.
Mandatory.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, he's worked out great. He's been an unbelievable hire for the Bruins. It's all from all the reports over the summer out of Ontario. He was ready for a job. I know he was a finalist for that Sharks job that Warsofsky took, another South Shore guy.
Yep. Marshfield guy, Marsh Vegas. Yeah.
And then, so I think that like he's just been like the right guy because of how honest he is. He doesn't hold back anything. All the guys seem really, really bought into him and his structure. Whether or not the defensive structure has been kind of as advertised is up in the air, but the offense that the Bruins have had this season is not what I was expecting. I remember hearing that after the hire, Bruins fans get ready to win games 2-1, 3-2, pretty close defensive style game. I'll take the 5-2 win, 4-1 win. That's great. All the buy-in from all of the guys in the room, and you can see it whenever the Bruins post, whenever they're talking, and even in the media scrums after the games, everybody's gotten the best things to say about Sturm, win, lose. I think it was the right hire. I'm glad that the Bruins made this decision. I feel like there was a couple different directions they could have gone. Like if Woodcroft was still available, I think that would have been a different looking team than what we're at right now. So I think that Sturm my favorite part about him is that he holds everybody accountable no matter what. He'll tell everybody exactly what he wants to see from a guy, and they'll go and deliver.
Yeah, I think he really resonates with the players. He benched Lowry. Murat was benched. He started Korpisalo 2 games in a row, and Swayman came back and responded very well. Middlestat got benched. He played very well. I think he really gets to the players and gets gets the best out of them. And these players aren't, going crying and requesting trades. They wait to get back on the ice and they play, they play better. And
he also did have that great line about Johnny Beecher. Remember that, Dan?
Yeah.
After Beecher was claimed, he's like, "Yeah, I just expected more out of him, and he just didn't really do it." So
no effort. Yeah,
it's like awesome.
He's not a Beecher guy. Yeah.
No.
So I think somebody was saying, was that Sweeney's move? That was clearly Sturm's move. And Sturm did say something. I remember seeing something where he's like, "Yeah, I called up Steve's." Like I called him up. Like just totally going over Sweeney. Like I called him up. So I'm not sure who's making the moves here. Seems like Sturm is, has a lot more power than we think maybe, but he's definitely resonating with the players. And he's a younger head coach. The Bruins, hired older coaches, Julian, Cassidy, Montgomery. If you want to mention Sacco, you can mention Sacco. But the last time they hired a young coach was it Sullivan, and he, turned out to do pretty well eventually. But I think hiring a young head coach has been the right decision so far, and kind of happy with how he's getting the best out of his players, like you said.
Another thing, when Tufty got called up, he said the same thing. I called him up, and then he mentioned that he was on both sides of like he's seen the AHL side of the call up. So I think that also helps because again, he said something about Tufty coming in. He scored a goal with like 9 seconds left in that game against Carolina, his first one, but it was on the power play, and that's something Sturm had mentioned. He was like, "We're bringing in Blumel, we're bringing in Tufty, and we're going to give them a shot on the power play and see what they could do." And Tufty answered exactly what Sturm wanted. He gave him a power play goal. Yeah, the game was over. We were losing 3-0, but he still got the power play goal. He came up and did what was asked of him. That's been an improvement in the years past. I feel like when guys come up from Providence or even guys get brought in, the first one that comes to mind is Oliver Wahlstrom last season. These guys come in expected to score a goal, make some noise somewhere, and they haven't, but they still get long leashes. And now I'm starting to see guys like Tufty comes in, he scores. Steves comes in, Steves isn't going anywhere. So I love all of the I love Marco Sturm's approach to all the call-ups and to all the additions that they're bringing in because it's been working.
And by the way, you mentioned the power play. They finally kind of go outside the family a little bit, bring in Steve Spott after an awful power play last year. Here they sit in December, 5th in the league, 25%. And that's, Pastrnak hasn't played the last couple of weeks. McAvoy has not been out there quarterbacking it the last couple of weeks. You're talking about Riley Tufty and Matej Blumel and Victor Arvidsson, and they're putting it together. And I think back to like the 2010s, so maybe this isn't exactly ideal anymore, of like some of those teams, Montreal actually was the one that came to mind, like the early 2010s, that would just get in the playoffs because they had a good power play. Good penalty kill and good goaltending, and then a good power play. Do you think that's enough for the Bruins to get in? Because right now, obviously they're in a playoff spot with a lot of season left, but they've had an awesome penalty kill. They've taken too many penalties, and their power play has been great under Steve Spott. Like, does that manufacture enough offense for a team like this?
I think it does, and we've seen it so far with just the amount of goals they're scoring. They're up in the goals for rank, but I'm sorry, I blanked.
It's good,
for a
man.
second. I had
Is
something.
what you're trying to say. It looks good.
The
Power play.
everything that you just said about Montreal right there, like the good power play, the good penalty kill, the good goaltending, the Bruins they have all of those. I won't compare Swayman right now to Carey Price. He was awesome, but we have all of those things, and the Bruins are playing. They're 17-13. They're in the playoffs. I think they're third right now in the Atlantic. Like it's a possibility, and I think they could. And if they do get in, they're not the easiest team to play against. They'll make some noise. So I really think anything could still happen this year with just the way that everything has been kind of clicking for the Bruins in the right direction.
They definitely have what it takes to make the playoffs this year. But my question would be, do you want them to make the playoffs, or do you see what happened last year with the retool they had at the deadline? Getting Hagens, getting Zellers. If they're maybe the last wild card spot, do you think they should kind of sell at the deadline and kind of do what they did last year, or do you think they should go for it? Get in, whatever happens. You never know what's the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, I'm hesitant on the Bruins like buying. Kiefer Sherwood, Connor Garland, get rid of those guys. Don't. That's
more
too
South
much.
Shore slander. All right, fine. Whatever. By the way, I'm not wanting Connor Garland either, but I need to throw it out there.
He'll be a Bruin one day. It might not be now, but it might be in 6 years once that contract ends. He was born to be a Boston Bruin at some point, Connor Garland. But
somehow Brent Frederick has competition for the worst long-term contract in Western Canada. But it's still Frederick. It's still
Freddie. Oh man, that's a terrible contract for Edmonton right now.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's pretty
credit to Don Sweeney for getting out of there at the right time.
Second round pick and didn't have to pay 8 years. Great trade.
Yep.
I mean, when you get a bargain like that, you've got to take it. You've just got to take it. So you're just kind of playing this as it lies here, Jack. You're just seeing where it goes with this team.
Yeah, it's more of like, how are they gonna because there's so much going on with the team. Like all the injuries have happened. If they can stay afloat during this, they're a lot better with McAvoy and Lindholm back in the lineup. I think they're 9-2 with them, which makes them 8-11 without. So if we can get both of those guys back, I think coupled with Swayman and everything, that the Bruins could be a playoff team. But I don't want them to go all in on a bye because we have these 4 first-round picks. I think the reason why they got them is to select with them. So select with them. Maybe you can get the Florida pick in 2027 you can spend that one, but I wouldn't this year unless if it's like, and we've talked about this on the Black and Gold pod, unless if it's a guy like Alex Tuck, where he's going to come in and you have to extend him. But I'm hopeful if you're going to make a trade for him, it should be a sign and trade with Buffalo. That's when you can give up one of these first round picks. But even then, I still think the Bruins have a lot of these pieces right now, and if they keep clicking, don't speed up the retool. You're kind of doing the right thing so far, and let it kind of all work out.
Do you think we get Alex Tuck for Anders Bjork? Can we do that again? Do you think they accept that trade? I feel like we've had some success with the Sabres trades. Maybe we sign. I think Bjork, is he in Europe right now? Maybe we get him to Logan, and then sign him to a contract. Don't let him leave the room.
Don't let him leave the room. Don't let him leave the room. That's gotta be a big, like, the 27 first rounder is probably the one you kind of would part with out of all of those. Because let's be honest, the Panthers will probably be pretty good next year and it won't be a great pick again. But the added pressure there is like, that's what you traded Brad Marchand for.
Yep.
So you better kind of get that right, I would think, with amongst Bruins fans, of like, you better get something in return for that. I mean, you should be thinking that with any, I guess, draft pick that you trade. But there's some
hasn't been our philosophy.
It's not always the case for the Bruins, for Don Sweeney. Not always the case, but I would think that would be kind of the frame of mind. But anyway, Jack Studley, Black and Gold Productions, Black and Gold Pod. Jack, let the people know where they can find you. And I guess thank us for having you on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you guys for having us on. My Twitter is JackStudley13, and all of my work, my writing and stuff can be found at blackandgoldhockey.com. Black and then N, not N, goldhockey.com.
Careful.
Yeah, and thank you again so much for having me on. I'm honored to be the first guest.
You know what, Jack? The honor is ours. Truly, this was fun.
I'm honored.
You're not going to beat us in an honor off here. You are not going to fucking do it. No, seriously. We really thank you for coming on. This was great stuff. This is exactly what we were looking for. And again, just looking, Dan and I just say yes to each other all the time. So to have another voice on here is perfect. So thank you, Jack. We will have the Garden Level podcast wrap things up, tweets of the week. And this one stat that is going to blow your mind is coming up right here on the Garden Level podcast.
I got some bad news for you.
Some bad news after such a great Jack Studley appearance. By the way, thank you to Jack. Appreciate him doing that.
First guest.
Yeah, Doc. What's the bad news?
The Bruins, unfortunately, are no longer the only team to beat the Avalanche in regulation. We can no longer. We have to take that banner down. I just talked to the guys at the Garden. Talked to Grizzlick's dad. He's going to take that down. But yeah, Bruins no longer the only team to beat the Avs. The Islanders, of all teams, the Islanders beat the Avs in the library.
Foils us in the library up there on Long Island.
Revenge game against his former team.
Congrats to the Islanders, man.
Currently, congrats to the Islanders. They did it. And but hey, we still got one thing going for us. We only team in the NHL with no overtime losses.
Thank you, Winnipeg.
We're taking down that banner. We're hanging up the no OT loss.
No loser points. Our points are for winners.
Points. Yep.
Our points are for winners.
And we also play more games than you too. We like being ahead. We like having 3 more games played than everyone else.
Yes. That's what it is. It's really some alpha male shit is what the Bruins are on right now. Like points for losing, not doing that. And when the option of more games comes up, we're going to do the more games option.
We'd rather lose in regulation. That's what we're talking
Literally, yeah. Like that's a man's way of handling this. Okay? This is a man's sport, and the only true like alpha way to go about it. The only real way to do it with grace is to just never lose in overtime. And what might be crazier is that they haven't lost in a shootout. Because A, they're kind of random, and B, you do need to have some skill. And the Bruins, through all of this, as much as these guys have been playing good hockey, like they don't have creative offensive skill. And they still do it. Wasn't one of them 1-0? Was that the Detroit one? They won 1-0. Swayman just stopped all the shots in the shootout.
Millsat clinched it.
Wasn't that it?
I think so.
I don't remember. It's more than a week ago, so I don't remember. Of course, but damn! Congrats to the Islanders. Tough for the Bruins to watch something historic slip by like that. I was really thinking we could have seen like a, 69, 1-12 Colorado Avalanche team. But congrats to the Islanders. No one else could do it other than us, of course. You want to do some funny tweets?
Let's do it.
Dan, you've gone for funny and analytical. Like big brain sabermetrics Dan is coming in on this, but through the lens of humor. And since I've set that up, we're gonna start with yours. Looking at Dan's tweet of the week, this is fantastic stuff. It brings together all the things we love. Advanced analytics, good Bruins, bad Leafs. What do we got?
So for those that are watching, we got Austin Matthews, 0.45 goals per game. And we got Alex Steves, former Maple Leaf, by the way, who never could cut it out in Toronto, apparently. They just did not need him for 4 years. Did the Maple Leafs
keep the wrong guy? I think we got to ask that question.
I think we got there's murmurs going around. But yeah, Alex Steves, 0.46 goals per game. This was as of December 4th. That might have changed, but we're going to keep this stat up. We might make T-shirts of this tweet too. If maybe we could talk to the Titty Garden guy, and maybe this is a good T-shirt. If sales are low, we could kind of get them going. With this,
we did have a T-shirt idea off the air that probably isn't going to fly. Probably is not going to fly. If we moved around some lines, it could get pretty ugly for the Bruins.
But Alex Steves is currently, or as of December 4th, is playing better than Austin Matthews, and the fact that he's a former Maple Leaf and he's just couldn't cut it there for 4 years. I think he never played more than 10 games in the regular season with the Maple Leafs. So Alex Steves is currently outscoring the best player on the team that didn't want him.
And honestly, anything after December 4th is kind of a bullshit stat anyway. Like December 4th is really where we draw the line. Like if you're not doing it by December 4th, you're not doing it.
Exactly.
On a real note, like when do I know Toronto, it's probably happened because they're crazy and they're sickos and they need something to talk about all the time. But like, when do we as a hockey public start having this discussion about Austin Matthews?
Like, I think he got a lot of hate during the Four Nations just because he was non-existent.
Yeah, because he sucked. He didn't create anything offensively. He was actually pretty good defensively in that tournament.
So I think he gets the hate in Toronto, and then the fact that it happened on the U.S. stage, I think that made more people realize, like, hey, like,
it's gonna happen again.
So he's gonna go to the Olympics this year. We'll see how he plays during that. Hasn't been playing great with the Maple Leafs. He's getting a lot of hate without Marner. He's making $13 million a year, and he's not playing like it. So I think more people are starting to notice, especially after Four Nations. Olympics will definitely bring more light to it. I hope he's not the captain like he was for Four Nations. That would be brutal.
No. Is there any bigger friggin' loser to have as your captain than that?
So I think you just go with the Kachucks and McAvoy. I'd be happy with those three. But
yeah, honestly, Matthew Tkachuk, dude, make him the captain. Like, I'm fine. I don't like
Brady.
him.
I don't care either one.
Yeah, I don't like him. I don't necessarily love the way he plays when he's going against you. And who knows how healthy he'll be. But yeah, not Matthews. Man.
And our podcasts are going back and forth for number one on the charts right now. So
yes.
We have a little rivalry going with the Kachucks.
Yeah, it's really been like a nip and tuck. It's been like Brady Manning. You know, you're just looking at the stats every week. You know, Stafford, Drake May right now. Like, all right, what did he do? What did this guy do? There's a lot of that. How about, so in that season 2 years ago, Matthews, his best season, 107 points. Played 91 games since then, and he's got 98 points. Like, and by the way, I do have some sympathy of like, there's injury problems there. He's had some injuries, had some shoulder injuries. He's had he's been in and out of the lineup this year, but like at some point you gotta be your transcendent self. And he has not been that, which is great for the Bruins, not great for Team USA. Terrific for Alex Steves when it comes to the negotiating table though.
Bring this tweet.
I know, right? Your contract, your agent's got to be like, look, he's a better goal scorer than Austin Matthews. And Matthews gets whatever, like 14 million or whatever it is. I think it's like 12. You should have brought it to him December 5th. Should have brought it to Don Sweeney. Look, if you want a better goal scorer than Austin Matthews, here's your chance. But if not, we're walking out that door.
I wonder what the stat is. Maybe LeafsNet could find the advanced stat on goals per game on Saturdays.
We got to find something to put Austin Matthews at the top. We got to have it. Worst receding hairline for a 60 goal scorer, Austin Matthews. Trust me, Austin. I can't even spell Austin right, by the way. I'm there with you on the hair thing.
Steves and Matthews.
Those two. So for my tweet, I'm going to use the video from it. And it's not as funny as it was a couple weeks ago. It's still pretty funny, and it hurts a little bit different when you realize what this team that's being trolled here did against the Bruins last weekend. But I thought this was AI at first. I think it's real. And Bob Ross has this clip that no one on NHL Twitter, I guess, had seen because it's an unbelievable troll clip.
I need to put this puck right here in this pretty little net.
He's talking to the New York Rangers, by the way.
Go ahead, you can do it. Just put the puck right here.
Like this, that goes hard, man. That goes hard when you have a shit hockey team. Just that. Come on. Just put it in the puck. Put the puck in the net right here. I'll play any game against the Rangers in New York, but 6 goals hung on us on Black Friday was not very bueno. That was the first AHL lineup we saw.
That was personal, yeah.
And typically we can do our funny tweets are usually just the line charts from Fluto. We do have for this week, this is from Scott McLaughlin instead, looking a little better with Steves on the first line. Pastrnak, no contact jersey, but he's supposed to be back. McAvoy is supposed to be back soon. He's listed as the extra defenseman there. That's crazy for a guy who just admitted he's lost 20 pounds because he can't eat anything. That seems nuts. But yeah, whatever you do, do not switch Kastelik for Asamont on those lines. I'm leaving it at that, Dan. I'm not going farther than that. But just don't do it.
There's also with McAvoy, I like how the last update we got on him was he should be okay for the Olympics. And now he's playing this weekend. That's just crazy. Like, he should be good by February. Oh, wait, no, actually, he's going to play this week, actually. He may not be able to eat anything, but and he's lost 20 pounds, but he'll be good to go. So, yeah, that's crazy. McAvoy is already back, which is, maybe he wants that C on his chest.
Maybe.
Maybe it's like whoever comes back first gets to see.
I mean, yeah, he might, and like you said, he might be captain of Team USA. Who knows? He's always in the leadership team there.
Yep.
Like this, don't like this week actually. After the St. Louis game on Tuesday night, Winnipeg on the road, Minnesota on the road. Both those teams on a heater. Why we're playing Minnesota on a Sunday night? Don't love that. And then it does get a little bit nicer. Utah at home, Edmonton still haven't really figured their shit out too much at home. Vancouver at home, Ottawa at home, and then Montreal leads you right into Christmas. Obviously, we'll have a show before then. But Dan, do you have any wise parting thoughts for this episode?
Let's keep going on the roller coaster and seeing where this takes us. I have no expectations for this year, so I'm kind of just going with the flow. But it's going to be interesting to see what the lines look like when Pasta and McAvoy come back. Obviously, we're going to have to break up one line, and when McAvoy comes back, put him back with Zadorov and see if that line is still dominant. But hey, let's see if Korpisalo can put 2 games in a row together.
That'd be nice. If we want that to happen, here's what we got to do. Jonas Korpisalo sucks at hockey, and I wish he was off my team. All right, that's going to do it for all of us, the Garden Level Pod. Remember, find us on Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. TikTok is where it's all popping off, and, of course, on Twitter as well for some shit talking. That's Dan Conlon. I'm Cam Stewart. We will see you on the next edition of the Garden Level Pod.